Tucker Carlson, his showdown with Ambassador Mike Huckabee.
I got dinner plans. How long are we going to go on
exactly.
this? Just kidding. I have no dinner plans.
The reason this is important is because, in my view, the challenge is that Tucker is not just trying to excoriate Ambassador Mike Huckabee. Tucker is firing nuclear cruise missiles into the Trump governing coalition. He is attacking evangelical Christians who love Israel, who love the Jewish people, and believe, as you and I do, that there's a biblical basis and mandate for that. Okay, and Tucker is not just attacking Israel. He's not just attacking Jews. That would be bad enough. He's attacking the very Christians who make up the Trump political electorate, and he seems shameless about it. There's I think, solid reporting that says that President Trump met with Tucker Carlson. We know that, but that the conversation a few weeks ago was, "Hey, dude, you got to dial this thing down. This is not cool. What you're doing, you're attacking me and my people and my base. Don't do it." If that's accurate, Tucker Carlson got on a plane, a private plane, flew to Israel, spent 4 hours on the ground, and launched a full-scale attack with no holds barred against evangelicals that make up the president's governing coalition as we go into a midterm election. So, what do you make of that? And what does the president do about it? What does Vice President Vance do about it? Who's, I would say that there's three people that helped Vance become the vice president. Charlie Kirk, super pro-Israel, no longer here, tragically. Don Jr., I don't know exactly where he is on Israel, but he's probably where his father is, probably. And Tucker Carlson, who's now not only against Israel, but he's against the Christians who love Israel. So let's start with the president, though. What's the risk to Trump's political success in the midterms and going forward by what Tucker is doing?
If President Trump comes out and denounces Tucker Carlson in a forceful way, which is what a lot of people want him to do, there is a view politically that will alienate a younger crowd, especially a younger male crowd, in the midterms and beyond. And there's the fracture you talk about. So once again, I'm not saying that President Trump is thinking that. I'm not even saying that. I'm sure there's some folks in the White House that are. But my point is that that's the political calculation. You know, if you go and denounce Tucker, because you're not just denouncing Tucker at that point, right? You're denouncing that 18 to 29-year-old demographic, maybe some folks that are older than 29 or so, that are questioning Israel. They're questioning aid to Israel. They might not go as far as what Tucker's done, definitely not as far as Nick Fuentes. We're not talking about 18 to 29 Nick Fuentes is out there, but we are talking about a younger, some would call them evangelical, some would call them Christian.
And it could be also blue-collar Catholics, young people that are now on the Trump team.
Right.
They see him as their champion on all these other cultural and economic manufacturing state issues.
Right.
But not sure what to do about Israel.
Right.
And
Tucker's a hero to them. I mean, Tucker's a hero to them, and he's got 17 million, as you know, on X and other places. So the point is that if you do that, you know, you risk possibly siphoning off 1%, 2%, 3%, 5%. I don't know somewhere in that low single digits. And we know that elections are won at the margins. And that's really the political calculation. But look, it kind of goes back to kind of a personal.
So what does Trump do?
Well, I don't think he's going to say anything. I really don't. I think he's
going to keep leading. I'm not listening to Tucker. On Iran, Tucker has his view. I'm not listening. He's Cookie Tucker from last year. On Israel, I'm with Israel.
Right.
Okay, that guy's not. And on evangelicals, I love evangelicals. You don't.
That's right.
But he's not. You're saying that you don't think he will, and maybe you think maybe he should not get into a direct head-to-head.
Well, I would love for him to denounce Tucker. There's no doubt about that. Okay. I would love for him to denounce Tucker. I just don't think he will, because what's the political upside for him? Upside. There's a downside, but what's the upside for him?
Okay.
Back to the moral prism. I'm not sure he does it. I really don't. I think the bigger issue here is J.D. Vance.
Okay.
You know, where does he go on this? Because this just in, spoiler alert, he's running in 2028. We know that.
He looks conflicted on how to handle
absolutely.
this.
Absolutely. And that's going to be a real issue. That's going to open a lane for some other potential candidate, depending, that would be a serious challenger to J.D. Vance, depending on how J.D. Vance handles it. Could it be a Rubio? Rubio will say to your face publicly and privately, if J.D. Vance is running, I'm not. Okay, well, guess what, Marco? Love Marco, but that's in 2025 that he said that, 2026. Let's talk about when it's 2027. It would not surprise me, and I don't want to make a prediction, but why the heck not? The cameras aren't rolling, are they? Why the heck not?
It's just you and me, David.
Is that all?
Just tell me what you really think.
Okay, good. I think President Trump's going to endorse Rubio. I really do. I think that President Trump, in his second term, in his first term, if Vance was there, he probably would have endorsed Vance. Not that there was a chance to endorse Vance, but he was more there. In the second term, Monroe Doctrine, a little bit more peace through strength, the whole thing, Rubio doing an amazing job.
And he called out Rubio as in one of the strongest.
Wow.
I mean, that almost was an endorsement.
Yeah.
But that was just a headline if that you think Trump might actually endorse Rubio, not Vance,
yes,
to be the Republican nominee in 28.
I think so. And the reason is...
It certainly sounded that way last night, but that really upsets the apple cart of common conventional wisdom that why would you choose Vance to be your VP if you're not intending to fully trust and back him to be the voice of MAGA going forward?
No, it's legitimate, but I think Rubio has crafted and I say crafted not in a nefarious way, but he has a lane that he has fused MAGA, and he's fused, gosh, if I say the words neocon, you know, that's not a good thing.
I would say traditional, conservative,
right.
Pro-growth, America first,
he's melded it
peace
together.
and strength, and he is an evangelical who's also a Catholic from a Catholic background. He did very well in the Republican primaries. He didn't make it as far as Ted Cruz, but he was, you know, he's got a base of support.
Yeah.
He's got more years of experience. But it is an interesting question. Now, you're the first person I've heard even posit this, that maybe Vance doesn't have this thing sewn up.
And once again, the reason, I think the main reason is that if Trump is thinking about legacy, right, Vance is very populist, obviously, and he's got the Tucker issue hovering around him. Rubio doesn't have any of that. And Rubio also has, like I said, that Monroe Doctrine synergy with President Trump, something that President Trump, remember, President Trump, when asked what does he want his legacy to be, President Trump is very clear about this. He says, I want to be the peace president. That's it. So that plays right into the Monroe Doctrine. That plays right into what Rubio's doing. Trump has morphed. Not in a bad way, but I actually think in some ways, foreign policy-wise, in a very good way.
He is definitely much more
you don't want to say
Marco Rubio
yes.
and Mike Huckabee
yes.
than he is Tucker Carlson and I'm not sure who else that would be.
Or maybe
right
J.D.
now.
Vance.
Right, or J.D. Vance.
Maybe even J.D. Vance.
Well,
possibly.
yeah, it's a very fascinating. That is fascinating, David.
Let me.
Well, go ahead, please.
Well, let me throw one more wrinkle in.
Because nobody's listening.
Once again, I keep forgetting that no one's listening. Here's one.
If a tree falls on the floor, it doesn't even matter. So say what you're going to say, brother.
I do think we need to look to the right of whoever is going to run in the 2028 election. What I mean by that, I'm not suggesting Tucker Carlson is going to run for president. I don't think he will. But you have Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You've got some of the PACs on the right, the America First. There's a difference between MAGA and America First. That's a whole other conversation we can have. But I'm talking about that. They hate to be called isolationists. Call them whatever you want. But the isolationist, America First, non-interventionist, call it whatever you want. That wing, I believe...
Or as Congressman Randy Fine, who you just interviewed, says is the Qatar wing of the Republican Party. But continue.
Yeah, and so I think you could see a situation where some candidate is going to run and try to siphon off a few percentage points of the vote in a general election. Once again, now we're getting into ballot access and all that. Who knows if it's actually going to happen. But I do think there's going to be talk of a Ross Perot-type candidate. Obviously, Ross Perot ran as an independent. This person wouldn't. This person would run in some sort of America First role. But I think that as a way to keep the Republican Party in check and say, okay, you want to go down the Monroe Doctrine lane? Hold on for a second. We're going to check that, and we're going to run an America First candidate.
Tucker Carlson would be the Pat Buchanan
100%
of the next cycle.
I think
if he were to choose to run.
I think it's where it's going.
But it's fascinating to me, and perplexing, but fascinating that he has abandoned the president. He on foreign policy, and certainly on Israel, on evangelicals. He has chosen. He's not sliding into this. These are active choices. The president's wrong on issue after issue after issue, and I'm gonna tear into him. But but he keeps claiming, I love the president. I'm for the president. He's my president. But he just said that he hates the Republican Party. And as Mike Huckabee said to me in an interview for All Israel News, who does he think is the head of the Republican Party? So this is one of the reasons it's important to have you on this team, David, because not because we're at All Israel News a partisan news organization.
Right.
We're definitely and definitively not. But understanding what's happening in Washington affects what happens in Israel, in Iran, in Abu Dhabi, in Riyadh, in Jordan, in Egypt. So trying to understand this city and cover it well is one of the reasons I wanted to link arms with you.
You know, one of the things, and thank you.
This is the final word.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Oh, I get the final word?
You get the final word.
Oh, that's just
We're way over the lane now.
Yeah, just real quick. Look, in a relationship, right? I mean, I feel like Dr. Phil. This is the Dr. Phil portion of the psychotherapy portion. But in a relationship, what is the most valuable thing you can give someone? Your time. Tucker Carlson is giving plenty of time to Putin, to Nick Fuentes, without any pushback, to many others that he's, quote, platformed. No one's saying you shouldn't platform these people. You want to have free speech, you knock yourself out, do it. But ask them some tough questions. Yeah. You know, where's the tough love, if you will? Or at least, once again, you might agree with everybody that, look, there's a lot of people that I interview that I don't agree with, but so I'm going to ask some tough questions. Yeah. So where are the tough questions?
We ask tough questions to people we do agree with because we want to understand how they're going to handle these questions.
But instead he goes to Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee. All of a sudden, I don't want to call
those are interrogations.
Those are interrogations. Where's the interrogation for Nick Fuentes? Where's the interrogation for Putin? Remember, on the Putin interview, he let Putin go down the Russian history memory lane for 30 minutes on the first question. Why wasn't Huckabee afforded that same that same opportunity? And we know, and sadly, I think we know the reason. And I think that's one of my biggest concerns with Tucker. If you're going to talk to these folks, well, let's have some, as Fox News would say, fair and balanced coverage.